Yes, indeed, I tell you, the person who doesn't enter the sheep pen through the door, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and robber. But the one who goes in through the gate is the sheep's own shepherd. This is the one the gatekeeper admits, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep, each one by name, and leads them out. After taking out all that are his own, he goes on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they recognize his voice. They never follow a stranger, but will run away from him because stranger voices are unfamiliar to them. Yeshua used this indirect manner of speaking with them, but they didn't understand what he was talking about to them. So Yeshua said to them again, "Yes, indeed, I tell you that I am the gate for the sheep. All those who have come before me have been thieves and robbers, but the sheep didn't listen to them. I am the gate. If someone enters through me, he will be safe and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come so that they may have life, life in its fullest measure. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. The hired hand, since he isn't a shepherd and the sheep aren't his, sees the wolf coming, abandons the sheep, and runs away. Then the wolf drags them off and scatters them. The hired worker behaves like this because all he is, a hired worker, so it doesn't matter to him what happens to the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, I know the Father, and I lay down my life on behalf of the sheep. Also, I have other sheep which are not from this pen. I need to bring them, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd. This is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it away from me. On the contrary, I lay it down on my own free will. I have the power to lay it down, and I have the power to take it up again. This is what my Father commanded me to do." Again, there was a split among the Judeans because of what he said. Many of them said, "He is a demon, and he's crazy. Why do you listen to him?" Others said, "These are not the deeds of a man who is demonized. How can a demon open blind people's eyes?" Then came Hanukkah in Jerusalem. It was winter. Yeshua was walking around inside the temple area in Shlomo's concave. So the Judeans surrounded him and said to him, "How much longer are you going to keep us in suspense? You are the Messiah. Tell us publicly." Yeshua answered them, "I have already told you, and you don't trust me. The works I do in my Father's name testify on my behalf. But the reason you don't trust is that you are not included among my sheep. My sheep listen to my voice. I recognize them. They follow me, and I give them eternal life. They will absolutely never be destroyed. No one will snatch them out of my hands. My Father, who gave them to me, is greater than all, and no one can snatch them from my Father's hands. I and the Father are one." Once again, the Judeans picked up rocks in order to stone him. Yeshua answered them, "You have seen me do many good deeds that reflect the Father's power. For which one of these deeds are you stoning me?" The Judeans replied, "We are not stoning you for any good deed, but for blasphemy, because you, who are only a man, are making yourself out to be God, Elohim." Yeshua answered them, "Isn't it written in your Torah, I have said, you people are Elohim?" If he called Elohim the people to whom the word Elohim was addressed, and the Tanakh cannot be broken, then are you telling me the one whom the Father set apart as holy and sent into the world, you are committing blasphemy just because I said, I am the son of Elohim? If I am not doing deeds that reflect my Father's power, don't trust me. But if I am, then even if you don't trust me, trust the deeds, so that you may understand once and for all that the Father is united with me, and I am united with the Father. One more time, they tried to arrest him, but he slipped out of their hands. He went off again beyond the Yarden, where Yochanan had been immersing at first. He stayed there. Many people came to him and said, "Yochanan performed no miracles, but everything Yochanan said about this man was true." Many people put their trust in him. There was a man who had fallen sick. His name was Eleazar, and he came from Bet-Aniah, the village where Miriam and her sister Marta lived. This Miriam, whose brother Eleazar had become sick, is the one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent a message to Yeshua. Lord, the man you love is sick. On hearing it, he said, This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may receive glory through it. Yeshua loved Marta and her sister and Eleazar. So when he heard he was sick, first he stayed where he was 2 more days. Then, after this, he said to his Talmudim, Let's go back to Yehuda. The Talmudim replied, Rabbi, just a short while ago the Judeans were out to stone you. And you want to go back there? Yeshua answered, Aren't there 12 hours of daylight? If a person walks during daylight, he doesn't stumble. But if he sees the light of the world, but if a person walks at night, he does stumble because he has no light with him. Yeshua said these things, and afterwards he said to his Talmudim, Our friend Eleazar has gone to sleep, but I'm going in order to wake him up. The Talmudim said to him, Lord, if he has only gone to sleep, he will get better. Now Yeshua had used the phrase to speak about Eleazar's death, but they thought he had been talking literally about sleep. So Yeshua told them in plain language, Eleazar is dead, and for your sakes I am glad that I wasn't there, so that you may come to trust. But let's go to him. Then Toma, the name means twin, said to his fellow Talmudim, Yes, we should go, so that we can die with him. On arrival, Yeshua found that Eleazar had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bet-Aniah was about 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many of the Judeans had come to Marta and Miriam in order to comfort them at the loss of their brother. So when Marta heard that Yeshua was coming, she went out to meet him, but Miriam continued sitting Shiva in the house. Marta said to Yeshua, Lord, if you had only been here, my brother would have not died. Even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Yeshua said to her, Your brother will rise again. Marta said, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Yeshua said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever puts his trust in me will live, even if he dies. And everyone living and trusting in me will never die. But do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world. After saying this, she went off and secretly called Miriam, her sister. The rabbi is here and is calling for you. When she heard this, she jumped up and went to him. Yeshua had not yet come into the village, but was still with Marta, but still where Marta had met him. So when the Judeans who had been with Miriam in the house, comforting her, saw her get up quickly and go out, they followed her, thinking she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Miriam came to where Yeshua was and saw him, she fell at his feet and saw him. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And Yeshua saw her crying, and also the Judeans who came out with her crying. He was deeply moved and also troubled. He said, Where have you buried him? They said, Lord, come and see. Yeshua cried. So the Judeans there said, See how he loved him? But some of them said, He opened the blind man's eyes. Couldn't he have kept him from dying? Yeshua, again deeply moved, walked to the tomb. It was a cave, and the stone was lying in front of the entrance. Yeshua said, Take the stone away, Marta. The sister of the dead man said to Yeshua, By now the body must smell, for it has been 4 days since he died. Yeshua said to her, Didn't I tell you that if you keep trusting, you will see the glory of God? So they removed the stone. Yeshua looked upward and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I myself know that you always hear me, but I say this because of the crowd standing around, so that they may believe that you have sent me. Having said this, he shouted, Eleazar, come out! The man who had been dead came out, his hands and feet wrapped in straps of linen, and his face covered with a cloth. Yeshua said to them, Unwrap him and let him go. At this, many of the Judeans who had come to visit Miriam and had seen what Yeshua had done trusted in him. But some of them went off to the Prushim and told them what he had done. So the head Kohen and the Prushim called a meeting of the Sanhedrin and said, What are we going to do? for this man is performing many miracles. If we let him keep going on this way, everyone will trust in him. The Romans will come and destroy both the temple and the nation." One of them, Caiaphas, who was Kohen Haggadol that year, said to them, "You people don't know anything. You don't see that it is better for you if one man dies on behalf of the people, so that the whole nation won't be destroyed." Now he didn't speak this way on his own initiative. Rather, he was the Kohen Haggadol that year. He was prophesying that Yeshua was about to die on behalf of the nation, not for the nation alone, but so that he might gather into one and scatter children of God. From that day on, they made plans to have him put to death. Therefore, Yeshua no longer walked around openly among the Judeans who went away from there into the region near the desert, to a town called Ephraim, and stayed there with his Talmudim. The Judean festival of Pesach was near, and many people went up from the country to Jerusalem to perform the purification ceremony prior to Pesach. They were looking for Yeshua, and as they stood in the temple courts, they said to each other, "What do you think? That he simply won't come to the festival?" Moreover, the head Kohanim and the Prushim had given orders that if anyone knowing Yeshua's whereabouts should inform them so that they could have him arrested. 6 days before Pesach, Yeshua came to Beit Anaiah, where Eleazar lived, the man Yeshua had raised from the dead. So they gave a dinner there in his honor. Marta served the meal, and Eleazar was among those at the table with him. Miriam took a whole pint of pure oil of spikenard, which is very expensive, poured it on Yeshua's feet, and wiped his feet with her hair, so that the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of the Talmudim, Yehuda from Creot, the one who was about to betray him, said, "This perfume is worth a year's wages. Why wasn't it sold and the money given to the poor?" Now, he said this not of his own concern for the poor, but because he was a thief. He was in charge of the common purse and used to steal from it. Yeshua said, "Leave her alone. She kept this for the day of my burial. You always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." A large crowd of Judeans learned that he was there. They came not only because of Yeshua, but also so that they could see Eleazar, whom he had raised from the dead. The head Kohanim then decided to do away with Eleazar too, since it was because of him that large numbers of Judeans were leaving their leaders and putting their trust in Yeshua. The next day, a large crowd that had come to the festival heard that Yeshua was on its way to Jerusalem. They took the palm branches and went out to meet him, shouting, "Deliver us! Blessed is the man, blessed is he who comes in the name of Adonai, the King of Israel." After a donkey and colt, Yeshua mounted it, just as the Tanakh says, "Daughter of Zion, don't be afraid. Look, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt." His Talmudim did not understand this at first, but after Yeshua had been glorified, then they remembered that the Tanakh said this about him, and that they had done this for him. The group that had been with him when he called Eleazar out of the tomb and raised him from the dead had been telling about it. It was because of this, too, that the crowd came out to meet him. They had heard that he had performed this miracle. The Prushim said to each other, "Look, you're getting nowhere. Why, the whole world has gone after him." Among those who went up to worship at the festival were some Greek-speaking Jews. They approached Philip and one from Beit Ziedah in the Gilgal with requests. "Sir," they said, "we would like to see Yeshua." Philip came and told Andrew. Then Andrew and Philip went to call Yeshua. Yeshua gave them this answer: "The time has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Yes, indeed, I tell you that unless a grain of wheat that falls on the ground dies, it stays just a grain. But if it dies, it produces a big harvest. He who loves his life loses it. But if he who hates his life in this world will keep it safe right on into eternal life. If someone is serving me, let him follow me wherever I am. My servant will be there too. My Father will honor anyone who serves me." Now I'm in turmoil. What can I say? "Father, save me from this hour." No. It was for this very reason that I have come for this hour. I will say this: "Father, glorify your name. At this bat kol come out of heaven, I have glorified it before. I will glorify it again." The crowd standing there and hearing it said that it had thundered. Others said, "An angel spoke to him." Yeshua answered, This bat kol did not come for my sake, but for yours. Now it's time for the world to be judged. Now the ruler of this world will be expelled. As for me, when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw everyone to myself." He said this to indicate what kind of death he would die. The crowd answered, "We have learned from the Torah that Moshe remains forever. Now it is that you say, Son of Man, is to be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man?" Yeshua said to them, "The light will be with you only a little while longer. Walk while you have the light, or the dark will overtake you. He who walks in the light doesn't know where he's going. While you have the light, put your trust in the light, so that you may become people of the light." Yeshua said these things, then went off and kept himself hidden from them. Even though he had performed so many miracles in their presence, they still did not put their trust in him, in order that what Yeshayahu the prophet had said might be fulfilled. "Adonai, who has believed our report? To whom has the arm of Adonai been revealed?" The reason they couldn't believe was, as Yeshayahu said elsewhere, "He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, so that they do not see with their eyes and understand with their hearts to do Shiva, so that I could heal them." Yeshayahu said these things because he saw the Shekhinah of Yeshua and spoke about him. Nevertheless, many of the leaders did trust in him. But because of the Prushim, they did not say it openly, out of fear of being banned from the synagogue. So they loved praise from other people more than the praise from God. Yeshua declared publicly, "Those who put trust in me are trusting not merely in me, but in the one who sent me. And those who see me see the one who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, so that everyone who trusts in me might not remain in the dark. If anyone hears what I am saying and does not observe it, I don't judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. Those who reject me and don't accept what I say have a judge. The word which I have spoken will judge them on the last day. For I have not spoken on my own initiative, but the Father who sent me has given me a command, namely, what to say and how to say it. And I know that his command is eternal life. So what I say is simple, what the Father has told me to say."